Well, good morning, everybody. Haley, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm good. It's the weekend.
Yeah, it's the weekend. That should make you very excited. Do you have a lot of leaves to clean up?
Yep, I sure do.
Yeah, with all the rain.
That's what I'm doing this weekend.
Yeah, with all the rain, I've been unable to get at my leaves in the way that I like to, which is mow them up into little tiny pieces.
I know. I was hoping we could mulch more this year, and that has not been able to happen at all. So now I'm stuck doing what I normally do and trying to get all these leaves on tarps and loading them into a dumpster Monday morning.
I'm waiting, hoping that they will dry out and I can continue to mulch them.
Munch them.
I'm not going to munch anything. Mulch my leaves.
I love it.
You always get all that black stuff in your teeth when you're munching leaves. It looks like you've been eating blueberries or something.
No one wants to do that.
People say, is that blueberry skins? And you say, no.
Leaves.
It's leaves. Of course it's leaves. Anyway, on the show today, we've got all kinds of important things to cover. We're going to be talking about LifeVac.
Yes, we are. It's a life-saving device. You had brought this to my attention a few years ago. I thought it was ridiculous, but now I see the value in it, especially with Halloween coming up and more choking hazards available for children. I think it's a very timely topic.
So we'll be hitting that. We'll also be talking about wallpaper. We're going to be in the studio with Allie Bride. She now works with us. She's been on the show before.
Right.
We decided we liked her. We'd hire her.
We'll keep her.
Now she's doing our social media, helping us with that. And she's done a lot with wallpaper. Super pumped about it. We're going to talk about that. Right now, let's get to color trends. A couple of weeks ago, Benjamin Moore released their color of the year, Blue Nova.
Right.
And we talked about that. And then we decided, on and off throughout the year, we're going to hit some of the colors from their color trends book. It's 10 different colors.
Exactly.
That they pair with Blue Nova. It's not necessarily meant to be paired with it, but they release them as a team.
Exactly. These are trends for the year. What's popular right now? What are they forecasting? And I think normally that can be interesting. People are interested in trends, but it's not always the most practical information. And I think this year we're really focused on making this practical information, why you'd want to use some of these colors, where you'd want to use them. And so we're going to do that today with Pristine first.
Yeah, let's talk about Pristine. It reminds me of my soul.
Of course.
Pristine Soul of Dan. We'll someday have a segment on that. But it's not this crystal white like you might think of.
It's not pure white.
No, not like you would think. It's actually a soft, warm white with kind of dusty rose undertones.
Yes, thank you for not calling it a Band-Aid color. I appreciate that. Normally, that's your tendency.
I have grown up, and I refuse to do that, although it really does describe it fairly well.
It does not. This is a very nice, warm white. Like you said, it's got some of those peachy undertones to it. And I think it's a nice twist on a neutral color, really. I think people get a little bit afraid of warm whites because they don't want their home to look dated. And I think this is a really fresh take on a warm white.
All right. So my home, dated. Everything is what you just described as dated. So I should just break out the Band-Aid color and slather that on my walls.
Yeah, I think this is really great for a south-facing room or even an east-facing room where you've got some really warm light coming in where you're going to amplify.
I need a compass just to figure out where that room is in my house. I'm directionally illiterate.
Challenged in that way?
That's why I don't stop for directions, because I know the guy's going to say, or whoever I'm talking to.
Go north.
Yeah, go north down this road and then head east. So, okay. All right. Thanks. And then I get to the car and they say, where do we go? I have no idea. We're just going to go down that road and hope for the best.
Oh, my gosh.
But yeah, so
if you can figure out which direction.
I know now which room is south-facing. We got them labeled.
Oh, good.
Did that nicely with some stenciling on the walls.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So that works really well. Why is that so nice?
It's going to amplify any of those warm undertones that this color has. And I think it can kind of have a glowing effect and make a space feel really extra cozy and relaxing.
All right. So with all of that said, let's talk about, you mentioned at the beginning, we want to make this practical. That's the color. That's kind of the vibe that it gives. Mm-hmm. Where would we, or more specifically, you, Haley, see using this color?
Well, I just described it as cozy and relaxing, so I think bedroom is a perfect place for this. Bathroom, too, could actually be a really nice color for a bathroom because it does have those really nice warm undertones to it. It's going to honestly make you look good in the mirror. Sounds conceited, maybe?
No, right. But there are colors.
Right.
And most hotels seem to be painted with them that make you look hideous.
Right. Like it washes you out too much. Or, if you do a really strong color in the bathroom, you can almost look sickly looking in the mirror. So it's important to find the right bathroom color.
Yeah, I'm banking on the fact that my bathroom color is bad.
That explains
I make a point of only looking at myself
just
in the mirror
bathroom walls
in my bathroom because I don't want to find out that, no, it's just me. So anyway, bedroom would be great. You said a bathroom would be good. An entryway.
Yes,
that's another place.
I think it's a really welcoming color, and it's going to really make any small entryway feel maybe a little bit larger, a little bit brighter.
What do you think about putting it on trim? Is it too much color for trim?
For most situations, yes. And because it has a very specific undertone, it's not going to be an ideal trim color for a lot of situations. However, there are specific situations. Topaz is a color we're going to talk about next week. It's kind of a rusty color. I do think in that situation, it could be a really nice, soft trim color to pair with a strong color like that.
Yeah, OC75 Pristine. It pairs well with whites, with soft gray blues, taupes. You can check it out at repcolite.com or go to our Facebook pages, and we've got lots of images there you can dig into. Let's talk about Honeybee.
Yeah, this is definitely a stronger color in the palette, and I think it can be tricky because when you're looking at this color palette for 2024, Honeybee might look like a softer yellow in that situation. It's still got a lot of color to it. And I think we need to be very clear on that because yellows are one of those colors that once they get bigger, you realize how strong they really are. So I think this is a yellow that I'd use in a very limited situation, where you've got a small room or you're using it as a trim color that pairs with a wallpaper or, a cabinet color if you're looking for kind of a vintage feel in a kitchen. It could work really well in that way. It
would work well in kids' rooms.
Yeah, definitely. But I think living room, dining room, probably not painting the entire room this color.
Not unless you do the ceiling too. Just engulf yourself in color and it will feel like you're in the sun. And that would be nice for the wintertime, don't you think?
Potentially. This could maybe
Michigan winter?
Help some seasonal affective disorder.
Now, a Honeybee, we're talking about using that in smaller scale. One of the interesting things that I found about it is it's a great starting point color.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's an official term or not. I've made it so now it is. But my daughter has a new room.
Right.
And she wanted a white on the walls. That was her plan. But that room, with whichever direction it faces, it's cold. Mm-hmm. And that would not be a good color in that space. So I said, what about a yellow? And she pulled her nose up. That was just hideous to her. Her mind could not wrap around.
Well, it's a very polarizing color. Yeah.
Yeah. She was just clawing at her eyes and trying to get that image out of her head. And I showed her Honeybee from the book. And instantly she calmed down.
Interesting.
Yeah. She was perfectly cool
won her
with that.
over.
Yeah. It won her over. But then we decided as we started really looking, that's going to be way too much color in that space. And she's going to be back to clawing her eyes out.
Yeah.
So then we ended up looking at a bunch of other yellows and found something much, much less saturated, much less vivid.
Exactly.
But it was a great starting point. We never would have gotten there
without
looking
at Honeybee.
Out with Honeybee.
Right.
So one other thing with Honeybee is it's a color stories color, and we do not have time to go into that, but suffice to say, it just means that of all the colors you've ever worked with, this is one of those that will really change with light.
Yes.
And that can be good or bad depending on how you approach it.
Exactly.
You need to know that. We'll talk more about that next week.
Absolutely.
But you can check these things out online. We've got some other yellows that we're recommending if you're thinking about going this way, and maybe Honeybee's too much. We'll put those in the show notes. Right now, we want to get our question out there for the week. We're giving away $100 gift certificates. It's the last week.
4 of them this week.
4 of them this week because it's the last one. So you need to email your answer to radio@repcolite.com. And the question this week is yellow. How do you feel about it? We know it's a polarizing topic.
Right.
We want to know. Thumbs up, thumbs down on yellow. Send those answers to radio@repcolite.com. We'll draw winners from all the entries that we get on Monday. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're talking about wallpaper. It's all just ahead. Stick around. And we're back. You're listening to the Repcolite Home Improvement Show, sponsored by Benjamin Moore. And Haley and I are in the studio with Allie Bride.
Yeah.
Now from Repcolite. Hi, Allie. Thanks for being here.
And thanks for having me.
A whole new introduction.
Yeah, Allie was on the show. Man, how long ago was that you were here?
End of summer, couple months.
Yeah.
I was on maternity
Midsummer.
leave still.
Haley was gone. I needed help. And Allie, you do a lot of your own blogging, you've got Instagram pages, you do a ton of work in your home.
Avid DIYer.
Yes.
Yes, there you go.
And we brought you on to talk about some of that.
Yep.
And we've given you a lot of paint to help you with those projects. You promote us. It's been a great relationship. And Allie was on the radio. And the minute we got done with that, I said, you did so well. That was so much fun. You should work for us. And you said, oh, I don't know about that. And we had a lot of conversations. And now here you are. You do our social media.
You forced me.
I did. No, so you're running our
Very similar how I got hired.
It really is. I think I told, and the names are too similar. Haley and Allie.
That's not similar.
It's really not.
Okay. Well, for me.
There's Dan and Dan. You were on the radio with two Dans,
I know.
And you're saying Haley and Allie.
That's kind of similar too. But I struggle with the language and getting your names right. But Haley, yes, was on the radio to help me out when Betsy left the show.
Yeah.
And we got done recording that. I thought, you were really good. You should work for Repcolite. So if you want to work for Repcolite,
the first step is getting an interview.
Yeah,
there you go.
Is the gateway. So anyway, Allie, you're doing our social media now.
I am.
Yeah, I've never been a big fan of throwing things on Facebook. I've done it because I'm supposed to, but I've never done it very well. And so I'm really glad to have somebody taking that over. Are you having
it's been
fun?
really fun. Yes.
Well, that's what you're supposed to say.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Perfect. So we're going to give out some of that information at the end because we want everybody out there following our page and critiquing everything that Allie throws on there.
Liking, commenting.
That's what I meant by critiquing in a very positive manner.
Yes.
But commenting.
Send suggestions. Because
you're watching all those comments.
I am.
And that's going to be a big improvement from what I did. I would open up Facebook after a week and, oh my goodness.
I have comments.
People are asking questions. Oh no. So anyway, that's fixed now.
Yes.
Moving forward. So
we went through the inbox.
Yeah.
And
Interact with Allie. It'll be fun. Let's talk about what I want to talk about right now. And that's wallpaper.
Yeah.
Allie, this is something you're big into.
Yes, I love wallpaper.
I've
Haley,
done some of it now.
You like wallpaper?
Yeah.
I love the idea of wallpaper. I have yet to make it happen in my home. I've got 3 or 4 spaces picked out. It's just that I struggle to find the patterns that I want. Actually, let me cross that off. I struggle to find time to get to the store to look for the patterns.
Yes.
Because normally I'm doing the stuff at home that I haven't done the week before. I'm always a week or so behind with all my projects. So anyway, wallpaper in the house. Let's talk about that. A lot of people, it's really coming back. Mm-hmm. We're seeing that, turn around. How long do we think it's been really starting to make a big push again into the world of design?
In the last year, for sure. A big push in the last year.
I would say it's been building for the last 5.
Building slowly, really starting to come back for sure in the last year or so. Mm-hmm. And previously, I remember the 80s. We had colored toilet paper. We talked about that last week.
My word.
And we also had all these tiny little patterned papers on every single
super
surface
delicate,
in the home.
And you would have borders. And,
we had switch plate covers and all of that.
Right.
Wallpapered. Right. To match.
And then probably the towels and everything too matched. The fabric.
Right. And because of that particular aesthetic, we went through a long period where everybody hated the very thought of wallpaper.
Well, especially because when it went out of style,
they had
to remove it.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that's why people don't like wallpaper anymore.
I think it's a combination, but yes, that probably weighed in very heavily. But now we're starting to see it come back. And there's a lot of people in the know. Allie, I'm gesturing at Haley as well. You guys just know, of course, wallpaper's coming back. Wallpaper's cool. And then there's a whole bunch of other people who are like, what are you talking about? How is that possible?
Yeah.
Right? We still talk to those people. We're probably talking to some of those people right now. Let's start by, why in the world is it coming back? What are you guys seeing about it that you just absolutely love? What is it about wallpaper?
I think it makes such a big impact in a space. I mean, so much more than paint could ever do. I guess you could go with a mural, but I would still say that the texture...
Like a painted mural?
Right.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the texture of wallpaper adds so much because you can get different textures, right? There's the grass cloth that we see. If you've ever been in a hotel, there's probably been grass cloth wallpaper. And it adds so much texture and warmth and interest.
Yeah.
Yeah, to a space.
And it can just totally transform it.
Absolutely.
So that's what we're seeing, all kinds of different things like that. Pattern-wise, that's the thing that really caught me is when you guys first started, probably 3 or 4 years. I think Betsy even was really big into the wallpaper thing, and I was not, because my experience was everything I just described. I did not like it, and I did not like taking it down or any of those things. And she talked about the patterns being so cool, and I just could not wrap my brain around that. We went and looked at some of the books, and I was blown away at what's out there. It's really, really cool stuff. I've got something in the house. It's not a wallpapered space. It's something that we made for an event that we ran, but we basically made a framed-in 4 foot by 2.5 foot.
Okay.
And it's wallpaper. It's just
a panel.
A panel of wallpaper. And just the other day, I don't have lots of visitors. Got a very elite list of who's allowed entry into my place.
Right. Yes, that's what's
somebody at the somebody at the door. Are you on the list? No, sorry. But I did have my sister over, and she's looking at that. Where did you get this? What is it? How did you accomplish this? She had no idea it was just wallpaper, and that's just on a little panel.
Right.
I can't imagine what that could do to a space.
Yeah, in an entire room, whether it's wallpapering every wall in the room or just an accent wall. I know. Me personally, I've really only stuck to like accent walls in bedrooms and in my dining room.
How come?
For wallpaper. One, it's expensive. Budget's definitely part of that. But I think in these particular spaces, I was really looking for a focal point, and it was more of a way to add interest to the space and ground some of the design aspects rather than to kind of overwhelm the space in a pattern.
All right. Allie, how about you? How have you used it in your own home? I know you've used it.
Yes. So I've used it in the mudroom, dining room, kids' rooms.
Whole walls? Or the whole wall?
The whole
Not just a part of the wall. I'm going to do that whole wall.
Just the whole room. The whole room. We did a laundry room where we put it on all the walls, but then also the ceiling. And that was really fun.
So I
do not recommend doing that alone.
Okay. I think we talked about that a little bit on the show. You put the last time you were on.
Yeah.
So you literally put it on the ceiling.
I did. Yes.
And you say, don't do that alone.
Don't do it alone.
Did you do it alone?
I did.
You learned from experience not to.
I had to call my daughter to come help me to get another ladder.
Should spouses do this together, or should it be somebody who's not?
Highly recommend a friend.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. Yes. When I first moved into my house, I really wanted to wallpaper. One of the first projects was wallpapering the dining room. And I knew immediately this was not a project for Jordan and I.
That's right.
I called my mom.
Jordan.
Yes, and we both have Jordans.
Oh, it's not even remotely confusing. Not even a little bit. Allie, Haley, Jordan.
Yes, that part, you've got a point there, Dan.
True.
No, I called my mom and told her, you need to come help me do this because I do not want to get in a fight.
Well, my friend called me yesterday. I was over at her house and we were wallpapering an accent wall there too in her hallway. Again, she's like, this is not something that I would want Andrew helping me with. I'm so glad you're here.
It's a little bit stressful because it's expensive, like we talked about. And so you've got to be very careful. If you miscut, now it's a little bit of a drama.
Yeah.
And it's a
but
little...
But you've both installed it.
Yeah.
And you've both succeeded.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're freaking everybody out.
It's still hanging.
See, look at that.
On the ceiling.
We're gonna take a break. What I want to talk about actually is I want to completely derail the conversation and talk about putting paper on a ceiling. I want to start with that when we come back, what that process looked like.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever had anybody sitting in the room with us that we can
done it.
grill,
Right.
who's done it, and then we'll dig into some other aspects of it. Allie, can you wait with us over the break?
Sure.
You work for us now.
I know.
so
You have to.
I can't escape.
I demand you will wait. Haley, you're waiting as well. Everybody out there, East Side listeners, you're going to get a Repco Light Rewind. West Side listeners, you're going to get news and weather at the bottom of the hour. When we all get back together, we'll be talking a little bit more about wallpaper. And more importantly, what that process looks like to put it on the ceiling. That's all just ahead. Stick around. And we're back. You're listening to the Repco Light Home Improvement Show, sponsored by Benjamin Moore. I don't think I did the home improvement show, did I? Well,
No,
now
have
I
you
did.
been doing some voice therapy?
Yeah. No, Allie, I should say I'm in the studio, of course, with Haley Johnson and also with Allie Bride. Both are now co-workers, and we're all blazing a new trail with the Repco Light marketing, right?
It's true.
Anyway, Allie, for the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've noticed that all of my H's have been I've had that lead in with that. Yeah, that
Oh, okay.
Haley and stuff like that. I don't know where that came from, but I've been working on it. And now I've done it like 5 times. So I'm sorry if you listen to the show with headphones or earbuds. Good luck with that. But anyway, it's improved and will go away. Anyway, last segment, we talked about wallpaper and just how it's coming back.
Yes.
And how the patterns are really, really beyond what most people
There's so
think
many
they
options now.
Lots of options.
All kinds of textures. It will add so much to a space.
Absolutely.
It's the visual texture. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to have a texture,
Right.
a tactile texture.
Right.
But visually, it breaks it up. And we're not saying you've got to do every single wall in a space, in a room. Paint on 3 walls and paper on an accent wall can be really great and can really take that space up
Absolutely.
multiple notches. I don't know if we can quantify how many notches it goes up. Can we?
A lot of notches.
A lot of notches. And Allie's an expert. She knows.
No.
So anyway, we're talking about all of that, and we're going to talk about some of the interesting books that we've got at our stores, some of the companies that we carry that you might be surprised to hear that we've got books from these companies. But before we get to all of that, we ended last segment, and Allie mentioned that you hung wallpaper on a ceiling.
I did.
So I know you've mentioned that on the radio before, but I didn't have time to dig into it. First off, what made you do that?
Yeah.
What made
why?
you think, let's put paper on the ceiling?
For funsies. No, I'm
Just for
kidding.
fun.
No, just for the impact, the drama of it all.
What room
I
was
loved,
it?
It was our laundry room. And it was this beautiful floral muted green sage pattern. And I just really wanted to elevate the space and make it extra.
Okay,
that's why
so
we did
it's how deep was the color up there?
It was like a sage green.
It's like mid-tone.
Mid-tone for sure.
Okay, so did it make the room feel like it brought the ceiling down a lot? How did that feel?
No.
Or did it open it up a little bit?
I feel like it opened it up a little bit. I feel like
Yeah.
it really, because it was saturated, it was also on the walls and the ceiling, that it just encompassed you when you went in. And I loved the print so much that I just wanted a hug from it. I liked it so much.
When you have the ceiling the same color as the walls, sometimes those boundary lines sort of disappear a little bit in the room. And I do feel like that opens up a space sometimes. I think the intuitive part of us thinks, no, that's going to make it smaller. But really, in experience, I think it really opens it up.
Yeah, we've talked about that with paint colors on the ceiling. Throwing a darker color up there doesn't do what we always think it's going to do.
No, we've done
Do
that
the
as
opposite. So the room, the shape of the room.
Yeah, so
my
it's a
laundry room is
rectangle.
ridiculous. Okay, yours was a rectangle. I would never want to wallpaper the ceiling of my laundry room. So yours is a rectangle. You said the process is definitely not something that should be done alone.
No.
What kind of things did you need to pull that off? I mean, just a ladder? That's how
Yeah.
you were working?
We had 2 ladders in there. I started with
2
one.
ladders with just one person.
Well, yeah. So I started with 1 ladder, and we quickly realized we needed a second ladder to make
Who's
this
we?
work. I called my daughter.
Oh, you did get help.
Yes.
That's right. You got
So I
help at this
started
point.
myself and got.
I thought maybe your
Quickly
husband was
realized
there with
that was not going
No.
to be possible.
his cup of coffee saying, yeah, I think you're going to need a second ladder.
No, he was at work. I do all my projects when he's at work, and he comes home surprised. So,
All right. So you get your daughter there to help.
Yep.
What did the process look like?
so I mean, my walls were already prepped. So I put my Roman glue, which I know we carry at Repcolite. It's my favorite glue, by the way. So I put that on the ceiling with a roller first. I have my panels already pre-cut, ready to go. And we just went through piece by piece, and you use your smoother, and we worked in little sections until we were done. I went widthwise. So we did longer panels so that when you walked into the room, I mean, the pattern went forward, if that makes sense.
Yep.
But
No,
All
I
right.
think that makes sense. I think you do the same thing with flooring usually, too. You always want to do the longest dimension of the room
right.
so that the pattern looks bigger rather than shrinking.
I like to mix it up because I don't want to follow trends. I just do my own thing. Wow, this room feels really stubby and weird.
Just do it wrong.
Yeah.
It's fine.
But one of the things we did do just for seam wise from the wall to the ceiling is I added like a little piece of corner trim that matched the sage green in the paper. So we had
masks it a little bit.
It does. Yeah. So we had pooled color to color match from the paper. And yeah, it just kind of looks like
That's
it's
smart.
a part of it.
All right.
But it hides those seams
So it's a 2-person job,
for sure.
but doable.
But doable. And if you have long hair, you should probably wear a little hairnet.
Oh, yeah.
I had wallpaper glue in my hair, and I
bet.
swear I washed it, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 times.
You could have just cut your hair. for the project.
No, absolutely not.
She's not going to shave her head because
No.
you wallpapered.
Throwing suggestions out. Those hair mat thing, or those little caps, they're not free. So I'm just trying to come up with some solutions here.
They're like $2, Dan.
Okay, well, I know the paper's not cheap. Didn't want to leave people strapped. So we'll just leave it out there for people to decide. If you've got long hair and you've got the budget for the cap,
Oh, my word.
go ahead. If you don't,
Risk it.
most of us have a scissors. Anyway, so the paper on a ceiling can really make a big impact in a space.
Absolutely.
I mean, probably some of the biggest impact you could make in a space because it's such an unusual place
That's
to see
true.
pattern and color.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, normally just putting paint on a ceiling.
And I love how unexpected it is. So especially in like a laundry space. So the laundry room was actually off of our master bathroom. So you go back there because it's an old house, so it's a little wonky. So when you walked in, it was just such an unexpected feature. And
I know in my laundry, I spend a lot of the time looking at the ceiling, just going, "Oh my gosh, what's up with all this laundry?" And now I've got something nice to look at.
There you go.
When I do that, so
Well, I do like the idea of making a space that is chore related.
That is what related?
Chore related.
chore related.
extra pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you enjoy spending time in there, especially if you're
Exactly.
going to be in there all the time.
Yeah. It's not like going
I
down to
feel
the
the same.
basement where it's, a little dingy.
Oh,
it's a
see,
little
I've always
depressing.
gone the other way because I figured that gets me out of there quicker.
Okay.
So my laundry room.
No, I just avoid it.
Nobody wants to be in there. We get out as fast as we can. Let's talk about some of the books that you love because Allie, you and Haley had kind of a leave Dan out conversation the other day. You're just throwing names of all these companies and, oh, this paper is so great. And Haley loves Rifle Company or something like that. And Allie loves
Morris & Co.
Morris & Co. Talk about those a little bit.
Yeah, I think I've mostly used Rifle Paper Company in my home. They've got a lot of the floral patterns that I like, and the colors are really rich and vibrant, and they've got some really playful patterns, so they're perfect for my son's room and a sunroom that I have. But I love, Allie, you've talked about Morris & Co.
Mm-hmm.
I almost went with one of their patterns for my bedroom, and I'm still tempted to. Because
I say go for it.
it's really beautiful stuff.
So
And
Morris & Co., that's a super old company.
Yes.
European, right? From
Yes.
England?
It is European, and it's extremely old, like 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got
Their designs are just so timeless.
yeah.
Their colors are very rich but muted. I don't know. It just has a different feel to it.
And
It
we've got
does.
books
We
from Morris
do.
& Co. at a couple of different stores.
And
right
I just learned this last week. I
You were
was like
super
literally
excited.
so excited. Yeah.
So which stores have the Morris & Co. books?
So we have it at Fulton Street, we have it at Plainfield, and
On the
we
west
have it
side.
in Kentwood. So all in Grand Rapids. If you're in the Grand Rapids area, there's going to be a store close by that's got this Morris & Co. paper. And of course, they've got the Rifle paper as well. But I think the Morris & Co. is so hard to find.
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to see it in person, because normally you're limited to seeing it online.
Yes. And I feel like the colors are not the same. So to
No,
be able to go and
absolutely.
pin through a book and say, okay, wow, this looks a lot different in real life than it did on my computer.
And then trying to coordinate paint colors and finishes and all of that is so much easier when you've got a physical sample to work with.
And I think that makes the case. I mean, of course, we sell paper, so we're trying to dissuade people from buying it online. There's a lot of real reasons behind that, and it's everything that you just said. When you look at a color online, you're really basing it on just the settings on the screen that you're
Right.
looking at.
Exactly.
You know, how that's representing color. That
Or
can
how they
vary from
photographed
device to
it.
device. Right, how it was photographed. How many times haven't you seen the real life sample and it's different from what you thought?
Or you wait for
Going
weeks
in.
for your sample to come in and then they're not quite exactly what you wanted. So it's just easy to go to a physical location, open the book, and make your decision right there.
All right. So we'll put all of this in the show notes, where the Morris & Co. books are. But also, I want to just clarify, we've got Wallpaper at our 17th Street store and our Lakewood store in Holland. We've got it at Plainfield, Byron Center, Fulton Street, and Broadmoor in Grand Rapids. And then on the east side, we've got it in our Birmingham, Farmington Hills, and Grosse Pointe Woods stores, right? I'll put that in the show notes because I'm sure nobody's going to remember all of that. Maybe one person is writing down notes furiously. But everybody else, go to the show notes. All right, Allie, if they want to find us on Facebook, you're running our Facebook, you're running our Instagram, our TikTok, and all of that, they can go find those pages. They should like them.
Yes.
What are they looking? And you want comments. You want
Yeah.
people talking to us.
Yes. Tell us your ideas. You can send a DM, which is a message. And if there's anything you want to see on our Repcolite social outlets, let me know and we will make it happen. But we have a lot of things cooking that we're pretty excited about.
Right. It's going to be all Dan all the time.
Oh, gosh.
Don't worry, it will not be, I promise.
11 by 17 glossies that I'll be signing, mugs with my face printed on them.
You
right?
seem very proud of that.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for the mugs. Lots of swag coming your way. Check out those Instagram, Facebook, all the social pages, and the TikTok.
And TikTok, yeah.
All of that. I think we're going to have to take a break. Allie, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We're going to release you to the wild. We're giving away, I should get to that, 2 $100 gift certificates to Repcolite. And in fact, this is the last week we're doing it. We've been doing it all October.
This is perfect for wallpaper.
Exactly. So in order to get those, and in fact, since it's the last one, I'm being big-hearted and I'm giving away 2 more. So this week we're giving away 4 of these things.
$100
Okay,
gift
wow.
certificates.
Oh, yeah. I'm Mr. Moneybags. I'm just doling it out. And to get entered, you just need to send your answer to radio@repcolite.com. And the question in this segment is, what would you like to see on our social media pages?
That's awesome.
So send that answer.
I'm gonna send some things, and can I win?
You can't win. Ellie, you can't win. No.
She wants more wallpaper, people.
Right. No, so send that answer. What would you like to see on our social media pages? Send that answer to radio@repcolite.com. We'll take all of the answers we get all show long, and then on Monday we'll pick a winner. Pick 4 winners from all of that. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about serious stuff.
Yes, a life-saving device called LifeVac, and we'll see how Dan does with this topic.
Well, see, it makes it sound like I'm immature.
It makes it seem
I struggle to be serious. I will be
so serious.
serious as the grave, and that's all coming up next. Stick around. And we're back, and Haley, let's talk about LifeVac. It's something that I brought to your attention because I care about everybody. Everybody. Care about everybody, and I brought this to your attention because it's a life-saving device.
Right.
To prevent choking, and you laughed at me.
I thought it sounded crazy when you described it as a vacuum that
you wrote blog posts about how ridiculous I was. I refused to publish them.
No.
Why did you think it was so ridiculous?
I imagined like a cartoon version of what was happening, right? Like
you pictured like a shop vac sucking somebody's stomach out?
That seems really extreme, Dan. Are you sure we should talk about a LifeVac?
Right. And then I showed you the device, and we should describe it.
Right.
I'm going to let you describe it. You're better with words in that regard.
It looks kind of like an oxygen mask. You can picture that. You've got it on your face, over your nose and mouth. And attached to that is kind of like a plunging device. So it looks like a little accordion, and you'd push it down. Air would not go into the person's
because there's
mouth.
a one-way valve. It releases air through the sides.
So now you've got a vacuum, essentially, and you're pulling up, and that's going to suction out anything that's lodged in the esophagus.
And usually they say you get it in a couple of tries. Usually one.
Right, exactly. I mean, this has saved thousands of lives at this point, and I think it's kind of brilliant.
Yeah, well, now you've got a baby in the house, and I think everything changes because babies, first off, put everything in their mouth.
Yes.
And they get to places where all the little things fall.
Coins, whatever it is.
All of that is really, really scary. And most of us probably have a vague idea about the whole Heimlich maneuver thing. And,
right. I took a class, but I don't feel confident.
Right. Well, think about that right now at home. If something happened, how confident do you feel to get the whole thing figured out? And what if you're alone? Then you've got to use the chairs. And as ridiculous as this is, the chairs in my house are way too tall for me. They're high-backed chairs. I have no idea what I would do.
Oh, my God.
This is a device that you can use simply. You don't need special training to use this thing.
You don't need special furniture in your home.
No.
You just need one device to
And you don't even need another person in your house. You can use this on yourself.
Right, exactly. I mean, that alone, it sells itself in that way. And I'm glad that you brought it to my attention, especially now that I have a child, because I can't imagine what I would do in that situation. And I've talked to my stepsister. She's a pharmacist. Her husband is a nurse. They don't go anywhere without a life vac. They've got 3 kids, and even them as medical professionals do not feel confident that in a life-saving situation, they would be able to get the job done. And they trust that this would.
Yeah, reading reviews, looking online, talking to different people. I ran into a couple of stories where people had children who had issues swallowing.
Mm-hmm.
And they said they just have these everywhere they go. They take it with them all the time. They've used them multiple times because the child swallows something the wrong way, and there's this panic moment, and they've got this device that will get it out. I can't even imagine how I would function in that situation because I know how I deal with stress. I yell at everybody involved, which isn't going to solve anything.
No.
And then all the things that I know in my head go out the window.
Oh,
and that's
absolutely.
with things that don't even matter. In a life and death situation,
yeah, you'd probably just freeze.
Oh man, I don't want to be relying on me.
No.
In that situation. But with this device, I think it gives you the confidence, and it's so straightforward and simple. And on top of it all, it's inexpensive.
Right. On Amazon, I think this costs around $80, but on the LifeVac website, this is only around $65, $70. And they have kits too. You get multiple, keep one at home, keep one in the car, so you've always got one of these available to you.
Now, they say they're one-time use.
Yes. And
that's just the face mask part of it, though. I thought it was. Because you replace the face mask part as time goes by. And I'm curious if that's just a hygienic thing.
I would think so, yeah. I don't think that it's ruined necessarily.
No, I'd be washing that baby out.
Oh my gosh.
I reuse Swiffer pads, Haley.
Dan, I can't even...
What?
Of all the things to cheap out on, I don't think a life-saving device should be one of them, but...
All right. Well, we each have our own priorities, don't we? All right. Well, maybe you're right. When you say it in those words, it really does paint a picture.
A very low cost for what you're getting out of this.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I feel pretty bad for having gone down the cheap road, just to save some money. Last segment, I talked about getting the hair cap or cutting your hair rather than getting a hair cap. So, yeah, rice and beans. That's what we eat at home. But choking, super serious thing. It's a leading cause of death in children. There's 5,000 deaths yearly. And according to the websites and everything we're looking at, too, the stats, one child dies every 5 days from choking.
Ugh, it's so sad.
Yeah. Choking leads to 100,000 visits to the ER. And here's something that's really scary. How much time is of the essence. This just makes that case.
Right, exactly.
With 0 to 4 minutes of having something lodged in your throat where you're not getting oxygen to your brain, the brain damage is unlikely. 0 to 4 minutes, you're probably going to be all right. 4 to 6 minutes, brain damage is possible. 6 to 10 minutes, the brain damage is probable. 10 minutes plus, it's probably brain death that you're looking at.
Right. And the average emergency time, if you're going to call someone in this situation to come and help you, they're not going to get to you, before 12 minutes, most likely. And by that time, the damage has been done.
So scary. This thing is just so brilliant. And it really reminds me, in a way, of the fire blanket that we talked about a couple of weeks ago.
So simple. Anyone can use it.
Anybody can use it. Even in the midst of a freaked out situation, tense situation, it's just a very simple process that you can't do wrong, really.
Right.
And you've got the power in your hands to save somebody's life
and I
or
think
your
it's
own.
Really timely, too. With Halloween right around the corner, candy is associated with 19% of the ER visits for aspiration emergencies. So I think it's a great time if you are interested in this.
We're going to put links in the show notes if you want to check it out a little more deeply.
Right.
But that's all the time we've got right now. We're going to wrap it up. We are giving away those $100 gift certificates, four of them. Last day that we're doing that, last weekend. All you need to do is send an answer to radio@repcolite.com. And the question we want to know is, did you know about LifeVac before we talked about it? And if you have, do you have one? Have you used it? We'd love to know all of that information. Send those answers to radio@repcolite.com. We'll choose 4 random emails from all of the emails that we received this weekend, and we'll announce those winners on Monday. And on top of that...
Right, we're going to give 2 LifeVacs away, so there also will be 2 random winners, and each of you will get a LifeVac.
So get those emails to radio@repcolite.com, and whatever you do today, make sure paint's a part of it. The Repcolite stores are open Monday through Saturday. Sunday, we get time to be with our family. And then Monday, they tell us, go back to work.
Back to the grind.
Open again starting on Monday. So have a great weekend, everybody. I'm Dan Hansen.
I'm Haley Johnson. Thanks for listening.